My Body, LSG, you guys know who that is. You've heard that many, many times. Dr. Doug here with the KOVF in the Heart and Soul. Let's get into it. As promised, I told you guys that I was going to start this week with repurposing our Saturday conversations. You know, before, it used to be like I talk about whatever I kind of wanted to talk about. And if we have one of my nonprofit friends had a cause or something, we come on and talk about that. And, you know, otherwise I'd be talking about life coach stuff and things that I thought you wanted to talk about. But now I know I got stuff that you want to talk about. I'm dedicating these Saturday shows for the rest of the foreseeable future to provide resources for you that will help you cope with the new normal, with having to stay at home, having to work remotely, having to help kids learn through Khan Academy or whatever online resources you have for your kids' education. Although there's a lot of pressure, all of a sudden, you used to just have to worry about going to work and where to pick up your dinner when you get on your way home. Now you've got to worry about how to work from home, how to keep your house clean, how to educate your kids, how to feed your kids, because now you can't go to the restaurant anymore. And it's a lot for parents and for, quite frankly, for children interrupting their normal way of doing things because we all hate change. So today we have Cecilia and Katrina with us from the Children's Bereavement Center. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
How are you guys today?
We're doing good.
Thank you. I thank you so much for coming out and trusting me. Number one, that will make sure that you guys had a sanitary environment in which to conduct this interview. So I really appreciate that. And I was talking about you guys. Well, you know what? First, introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about what you each do.
Sure. I'm Christina Hernandez. I'm the development director at the Children's Bereavement Center.
Okay.
Been for a little more time. Sort of.
You look like you can't. Oh, you look like that years of experience. That's where you go, girl.
I spent 5 years at the San Antonio Food Bank.
Okay. Oh,
and
that's where I know you from.
Yeah, maybe
I was sitting here staring. I was like, I know her. That's why I know her. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I ended up at the center because my family and I were clients there. So okay. I probably speak about it eloquently because it means so much to me firsthand.
So much.
And I'm Cecilia Gamboa. I'm staff counselors there. I also manage the school-based program, and so that's a newer program, newer initiative, where we're taking those support groups that we provide in the center and taking them out to schools out on the south side. And so,
whoa, tell me that again now.
Yeah, so we're taking the support groups that we offer in the center, and we're taking something similar out to schools on the south side. So we're servicing Wood, Arlendale, South San Antonio ISD, and South End ISD.
Really?
Yeah, so we've got, through our fundraising department, we've got a grant that's supporting us in going out, a couple of grants that are supporting us in going out and servicing the population. And so, like you said, a lot of the barriers to treatment.
That is huge.
Yeah, like the
because that's the first thing education people cut are counselors.
Yeah.
And for you guys to have with your experience to be able to go and be resources for those schools, that we could have a show just about that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Awesome team. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm also new. It's been since September that I've been on with the team.
You got the two newbies.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Well, you guys
have a lot of faith.
You guys have made you guys have had a monumental impact already because just those two initiatives are huge. Raising money, and so Christina raising money. You're able to already go and put that to work by going out and servicing kids who wouldn't have anyone to talk to if they're going through troubled times. So
yeah, we're also part of that South San Collaborative, the Care Zone, and so we provide individual counseling through them as well.
It's interesting because our work has been traditionally up until last week, really, has been solely focused on grief support for children and families when there's been a death. Okay. And the kind of gold standard of that work is peer support group, like Cecilia mentioned. So people would come to the center and we put our kids up in groups with kids who've lost similarly and same age. Yeah. Everybody can get to the center. That's why we were really proud of that school-based program. We're funded through United Way and City of San Antonio for that program.
Well, you guys got to have your stuff together to get funded by those two organizations because they have a lot of requirements.
That's right. So yeah, we're super proud of that program. Cecilia's done such a good job with it.
Awesome. So now, like I said, and during this time of the new normal, not to wear the word out or that phrase out, you guys are now doing something like you said. You were focused mostly on children and deaths in the family, and that's which is a great, huge thing. And so, lo and behold, I was talking about, hey, children. So tell us what this is.
Yeah, so in the last week, much like everybody in this community, we had our world turned upside down, and we've got, a counseling team that's ready to serve children and families, and we can't do that in our center. And as we started to talk about, where we were headed, what we realized is that the world needed, really, was somebody to tell them how to manage everything that's going on right now. How do I talk to my kids about what's going on? How do I manage my anxiety? I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling nervous. And really, the counseling team at the center, that's what they're good at. I mean, we have the best counselors in the city, and I'm biased, but I believe that's true. And it's like, we've got all this talent. How do we get that out quickly to everybody who needs it? And so the idea for these videos was born, and the counseling team really just brainstormed all these topics. And they've been filming them in their homes. So they're super organic. If you go to our social media page, you'll see them. And we're working on putting together an e-learning platform. We're going to do that as long as we need to.
Wow. Now, how long did it take you to put this together?
We had our first meeting on Tuesday, and our first videos went live on Thursday. So really quickly.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is really, congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, things take time. They take time. So, you had to put in extra hours. I'm sure all kinds of things went into it. I've seen a part of one, and it's really extremely well done. So that is a great idea. Because a lot of people are like, even though they're supposed to make financial resources available for people, and there are a lot of people that work on minimum wage, they work on tips, they work on all those types of things, and even though people promise them, when it's March the 21st and, rent is due on the 28th or the 1st, and you haven't worked in the last 2 weeks, and you're $50 or $100 or $500 short, people are wondering, people get stressed, and people,
That's right.
So tell me, what are some of the topics that you guys are thinking about, or that you have currently? Which new ones are you thinking about?
Yeah, so the wonderful diversity of our counseling department is we have so many different counselors that are good at different things, and so I think we're all bringing something unique to our videos. And so I know the ones that have come out, the direct more emotion grounding techniques that parents can use their children to just kind of help them find that center to feel okay in this world where things don't feel okay right now. I know that Andy, another one of our counselors, is going to be focusing more on helping with topics directed towards young adults and teenagers, because their concerns and what they're going through looks a lot different than maybe caregivers or parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their social lives just can change completely. Yeah.
And Andy, being a young adult herself, is so sensitive to those issues and can really put herself in those shoes, and so she's providing that guidance. A lot of my videos are going to focus on cognitive behavioral therapy, so kind of finding.
Not my alley.
Yeah, so you're familiar with that. So finding the good in all of these things that feel really uncertain and really scary, and so providing tips on how we can again help our children find that good when there are things that we can't control. How do we kind of talk ourselves into a place where we can be okay and be regulated, so that we can regulate our kids, because we know as parents when we're very stressed out, they can feel that, and it brings up that kind of temperature in the room. And
I think part of the beauty of doing these videos the way we're doing them kind of in the counselor's home, right, because we're practicing social distancing,
it's relaxing,
is that we can build it as time goes, because it's such a quickly changing landscape right now.
Absolutely.
I feel like it changes every day, and so what we think might be really powerful content today, in a week the world may need something else. So I think we have this really long list of these are the things we think people want to hear, and we're working on those now. Totally aware that this time next week we may shift gears completely. So I think we're pretty nimble in this.
Do you elicit feedback from people? Can people call in and suggest something that or maybe say, Cecilia, I have a problem around this. I haven't noticed it in your videos. Is this something you guys would consider producing?
For sure. We would love for people to comment on our social media pages and just say, hey, what about this? I think that would be super helpful, actually, to hear from the community if there's something that we're not addressing as we kind of go through this.
Oh, so you're going to solicit that point, perhaps?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think it might actually be out there. Like, if there's something you want to hear, let us know.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Yeah. But, one of the things that I have with my clients is being focused on individual But one of the things I tell individuals, though, is the worst thing that never happened to you is the thing that never happened. Because we all predict our future, and our prediction is never positive. As humans, we'll always see something failed, or some obstacle, or some insurmountable barrier that we can't get around. And so the fact that you brought that part up, I think that's really helping people get out of their own prison, so to speak, that they created for themselves.
Right. Yeah, because we know the more time we spend at home with nothing to do or twiddling our thumbs, our mind starts racing. And like you said, very rarely is it positive thoughts. It's usually the what ifs or what's going to happen, when rent is due and things like that. And so we kind of get stuck in that negative side.
We do, and it prevents us. I think the beauty around what your organization is doing is that bad thoughts are like snowballs rolling down a hill. They just compound on each other, and before you know it, you're in a place that you can't get out of, and all the help in the world can't get you out of, because you've created this make believe reality. While nothing's gone wrong, you haven't been kicked out, you haven't lost your job, you just furloughed. None of your kids are fine. No one is sick. But in your world, it's everything is caving in on you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that and I don't remember where I saw it, but it was like, don't think too far in the future, right? And it's interesting because it's kind of counterintuitive, right? You're always thinking about plan for I'm telling my 24-year-old all the time, plan for the future, plan for the future. You're not thinking far enough in the future, but right now we need to be thinking about right now. And I think we're lucky, and not everybody's in the same place, but that we have a roof over our heads. And while we've had to be super creative with what we're eating right now, we have food to eat, and not everybody has that luxury.
That's right. Yeah. From a cognitive perspective, actually, you have to do both. And that's why one of the things I'm trying to recommend to my clients is start like a family reading session where everybody pick a book, and at dinner time, each one talk about the chapters that you read in that day, just to get our minds off of all of the negative things, because it's just, it's hour after hour after. It's like even in my household, they're like, Dad, or express calories. I've been watching old movies. I watched Serpico. I watched Enlightenment.
Oh my gosh.
I was like really crazy stuff, and it just seemed like mindless compared to media today. But you know what? It's simple. It's the topics are simple. I can do other things. It's almost like background music. And it's not anything serious, and it lets me concentrate on things. So you have to have long-term plans and short-term local plans and goals and things. So while it's never too good to think too far in the future, because you're not able to take what things you don't anticipate. Yeah. But it's always good to have plans, so that you have your little roadmap that you can follow when things aren't normal. So
well, and I think definitely what you talked about, like with dinner time, dinner time may be really stressful because the grocery stores are empty, and so we may not have what we would usually have for dinner. But finding that time to come together, we know research has shown over and over that having dinner together every single night is so impactful for the family. It really brings people together, and I think in this world of technology and social media and just busy, the kind of hustle that we have to be able to make ends meet, we don't always get that time with our kids to get to reconnect. Sometimes dinner time is 8:30 at night and they have to go to bed, or sometimes we don't get in until after they're asleep. And so to be able to take this time, like you said, to start practicing those dinners while we have the opportunity, that's finding that silver lining in this cloud, right? That maybe it's not the same things we usually eat. Maybe we don't have anything for next week yet, but for tonight, we can spend this time together. That's right.
Very well said, very well put. This world we're in, we're all guilty of being where we are today. And so I look at the pandemic obviously is horrible, but I look at this social distancing, self-quarantining, whatever the new title of it is, I look at it as a very good thing. Because back when, I'm kind of old, not really old, but back when I was coming up, everyone had to eat dinner together. And the only thing that changed that?
Technology.
No, we did. Because when the boss says, hey, it's 4:30 and you got to go home at 4 o'clock, and something takes 3 hours to do, we could say, I can work on that for another 53 minutes or 33 minutes or 23 minutes. But at 5 o'clock, I got to go home. But we choose to take that time and the extra time, sometimes at no reward, and sometimes at night, just because, under that, hey, people would, but they did that because we responded in that way, and they were able to get more out of the day. And then, so if we all stopped and took a step back and said, okay, in my life, here are my priorities. And hopefully during this time, people can set priorities. And so no matter what happens, I mean, unless there's a death or catastrophe, you know, 5 o'clock, I'm going to go home. I mean, we signed a contract that said I'll be here from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm here from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do. Got kids to take care of. Got a household to clean.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if you're single and by yourself, I need some time to myself. I've been here 10 straight hours. I got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, it's interesting because I'm Gen X, right? And we're supposed to be known for, like, being lazy and, I mean, at least in our day, when we were teenagers, when we were going to college, it was like Gen X, you know, they're, you know, we have
crazy. But you know what happened?
We were kind of crazy.
You know what happened, though?
We grew up.
You got older. No, not necessarily growing up, but you got older. And so what society does, they put that burden on you to conform. Yeah. So, and I thought it was great that you guys were out there crazy, because there was like a lot of creative stuff happening. Yeah. But then they kind of mold you all together.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think there is something to that. You know, we kind of create that world. I've certainly been guilty of it myself.
Every person here is.
And you know, sometimes the job dictates that. So I think
we let the job dictate it.
That's true.
We let it, because the job will take from you whatever the job gives.
That's right. Yeah.
As long as you meet the requirements. Yeah, you're safe. But so once exceeding that's what the job is. Once you say yes, you can never say no again. Yeah. But if you make it a priority, I know people who always leave by 6 o'clock. Yeah. And who never get, you know, if work starts at 9, I'm not there at 8:15. I get there at like 8:55. Right. But so people get there at 8:15. What do they do at 8:15? If they were drinking coffee and socializing, that'd be one thing. Oh, the computer's on, and now people, like, when they get home from work after dinner, what do? They stay up. Checking email. Yep. And so we've created that. We've created the monster. I look in the mirror, and the enemy is me. And so to speak. So I applaud the things that you guys are doing, because hopefully this will change behavior of thousands or tens of thousands, and people will become, because the more normal life, the longer we're all going to live, the less stress we have in our lives. What you guys are doing, your new initiative, is so important. Not just paying
green. Yeah, it really
is. Exactly is.
And I think, you know, when we were talking about this, it was really kind of the brainstorm session that led to this was there is bad news everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, if you open up your Facebook, it is bad news after bad news. Some of it's credible, some of it's not. It's hard to know. And I felt like, personally, when I open up my Facebook and somebody posts something that's even remotely positive or hopeful, I cling to that. And I thought,
I hate to say it, I do the same thing.
I'm like, oh
my God, I put a little heart there.
Yes. And so I felt like, knowing this team and the work that they do every day with grieving children, our role is to be the helpers. And I think Mr. Rogers said that, right? Look for the helpers. And I thought,
good old Mr. Rogers.
Let's put some content out there that doesn't make people more stressed, but instead gives them, you know, a distraction from the terrible news and some hope and some tools.
But the relaxed setting is another thing, because it's not a classroom. There's no book stacks or anything. You know, there's no whatever. You know, it's like it's very, very chilled and very relaxed. And that's what this is pretty good.
I want it to feel really organic. Yeah, like if we were an actual session.
I mean, it was organic, and so I guess that's the, you know, I think if we probably had gotten, if we'd spent more time on it, it would have been produced, and we would have been logoed, and we would have had a nice background.
And that would have been horrible.
That isn't what we, you know.
I almost said something that maybe would have been a sponsor, and that would have been bad. But no, anyway, yes, that would have not been good. I would not have watched that.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're doing them in their homes, and they're uploading, and they're taking with their cell phones. So sometimes there's background noise, and, you know, we're just rolling with
technology work for us, not us working for technology.
Yeah. And I think, like Christina said, the wonderful thing is, since we're doing it in our homes, we're keeping them really short, because we know we want them to be digestible. We don't want it to be a class or a TED Talk. Because for, you know, like she said, scrolling through Facebook, we want something that people can just watch briefly. They can something they can come back to if they need to. But also, since we're able to do them at home, we can be really adaptable to what the community is asking for. We have so many specialists on our team. We have people who specialize in trauma. We have, of course, we're going to be doing stuff on grief and some of the worries that a lot of the news that we get about the dangers and triggers during the who've lost a loved one already
Oh, that's
previously.
right. Exactly.
And so we'll be speaking to that. We'll be speaking on self-care and how do you just take that time to take care of yourself. We always, tell parents you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not in a good place, you're not going to have a lot to give to everyone else. So that we're going to have a lot of different things coming out. Yeah.
We're going to take just a real short break here, and what I'd like to do, we're going to stay live on Facebook.
Okay.
Simply so wave at your friends and everything.
Okay.
But we take a break, and when we come back, what I'd like to do is discuss about some next steps, any kind of fundraisers you got, if there's anything that the people in the audience can do to help, if it's contributing to something, if it's volunteering for something, it's kind of like your call to action, so your commercial.
Yeah, thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
KORV FM, the Heart and Soul of San Antonio. We've got Cecilia and Christina here from the Children's Bereavement Center, and they're doing more than just working with children who are bereaved, and we're going to continue our discussion in about 3 minutes. So stay tuned. Very well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so just take a breath. Do you guys need some water?
I think I'm okay.
We got water in the fridge, right, Jeremy? What are you checking? You
It's
sure?
like magic. He goes that way and he pops up over here, and he goes that way and pops up over
Actually,
there.
this is actually pretty big considering where we are. So it's much bigger than where we were. So. Yeah, it's nice.
Where were you before?
Oh God, we were in the ghetto. We were off. I'm trying to say that. We were off of West Avenue and Fredericksburg.
Okay.
It's an extremely nice place, high tech, everything.
Yeah.
But my gosh, people were
Thank
stealing.
you.
You're welcome. People were stealing cars. People were breaking in.
Yeah.
So finally, the last straw was we got a lot of new equipment and everything, and someone came in. They had an axe and they just went. So we had people that were
What?
Yeah, there were some really strange individuals over there that are, I don't know if they're neo-Nazi kind of people or whatever, but they have this disdain for the diversity. So
That's awful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm glad y'all got like you said, a bigger place.
Oh, yeah, and it's much more cool.
This is really cozy.
Yeah, because if the other place, if you'd driven there, you'd have been.
Yeah, I know. I was expecting not to be able to find it. For it to be a big, very kind of industrial something. This is really cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Windcrest Police, they always patrol and make sure everything's fine, and so like on Saturday, normally on Saturdays, if it were the real normal, I'd be here by myself, and there's always someone like right about 5 o'clock. Hey, I could be all right. It's not cool.
I love that. I love that. At the food bank, we would do a Thanksgiving distribution at Space on the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and that was one of my favorite days of the year. Rack Space would sponsor turkeys and food for all of they would support all the schools in the area. Yeah, and they really it was a well-oiled machine. I mean, we would just go out and do traffic control, but they had it down. Those rockers are amazing. That's awesome.
You know where we met? Because I used to come pick food up for the Under the Bridge ministry.
Okay.
I did that for years.
Okay.
Yeah, with Sister Applewhite and everything. And she's still doing that, I hit her on the show.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's done 70 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
That is Kim Waters, who was going to be one of our artists performing during the Alamo City KORV Jazz Series. So far, we only got one of those going, and then all of a sudden, the new normal hit us. And so, talking about new normal, here we are today with Cecilia and Christina from the Children's Bereavement Center. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. You guys gave us a lot of information. We're going to make sure anything you guys got, that you want promoted, we'll make sure we put it on our Facebook page and on our website, and we'll make sure that we get the word out about the videos. You guys get new ones going on. I will post that and get people to know that's going on. So,
Thank you.
So please use us as a resource. We're here for a community video station. But now it's this time every Saturday. When I have these Saturday conversations, I ask before we leave. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on. What are the next steps for the Children's Bereavement Center?
So I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. So if we were in the middle of because in a couple of months we're going to get back to normal, and then what we're going to need are volunteers serving meals to our families. So, you know, normally we have families who are coming to our center for peer group, and when they come to the center, they are coming as a family and they're enjoying a family meal together before group starts. And that's a critical piece of our process. And so volunteers bring that meal in, whether they've prepared it at home or they've purchased it and are bringing it in, and they serve.
Wow.
And that meal is served on china. It's served at a dining room table. It's really meant to
Now,
kind
where
of...
do you do, where is this at?
It's in our facility. So if you've been to our center, you need to come check us out.
I'm going to do
In a couple of months.
Yeah, not
So we're
right.
there again. But we're on Almost Drive, in between San Pedro and McCullough.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when we're back up and running, that's a great way to volunteer, to get a group of people. I would say anywhere between 5 and 9 is like the magic number for people to serve. And you can sign up on our website. Right now, it's interesting because we need to continue to serve grieving children.
Okay.
On top of the videos and all of that work, the heart of our mission is serving grieving children and families.
And
we
that
need
stuff
to
never
continue.
changes.
And we do that through peer groups, but also individual counseling.
Okay.
And so right now, we're really trying to put resources together to get some telemental health platforms up and running. And I know that Cecilia and that team have got that ball kind of rolling, but it's going to cost us money that we hadn't anticipated on spending. And then we're going to work on trying to figure out how we do peer groups remotely. How do we get, and how does it feel the same when you've got kids doing peer group? A lot of that is art and music, and that's kind of hard to do remotely. So right now, that the brainstorm, I think, is how do we do that? I don't know.
Keep us informed. One of the things I think the biggest impediment for that on a mass scale basis is, from my research, San Antonio, probably about 27% of our residents, and that's Bear County, San Antonio is a little bit lower, do not have access to the internet. So that is where the challenge is.
Right. I've seen, and I don't know if this is true, but I've seen a lot about some of the companies are providing for families to have children who are home now, and maybe that's a thing. I don't know. And you know, I think the combination of having some internet-based stuff and some stuff that we could do by mail, maybe.
So one of the things that I've heard is, okay, well, wait.
Are we going to go back to the internet?
Yeah. I have to say this because it kind of upset me a little bit. I won't use their name, but there is a provider that is providing free internet to people if you meet the qualification as a result of this corona thing. So I thought, wow, this is huge. And so I wrote it and everything in there. So when we pulled back the curtain and saw what the real deal is, so their pay-per-view movies are typically a certain price. It's the stand price for pay-per-views. Everybody knows what that is. I'm not going to say it on here. They have increased their pay-per-view price by 400%.
Wow. Yeah.
So, so something that used to cost $1 now costs $15.
Yeah.
For the same exact service.
Right.
And so that's how they're underwriting. So really, or consumers of that product are paying for people to get free internet.
That's right.
Not the organization itself.
That's
and
right.
so that's a little
disingenuous.
Yeah. So anyway, but the other thing, there's a great corporate citizen philanthropist in the city that you all know that I supported you guys before. For our learning applications, this really generous person has came up with a cell phone app that kids can do lessons on. So maybe that could be adaptable for somebody, because you're just not going to get internet to all of these people that don't have. That's not going to happen now. But people have the need in the short term.
Right.
And so if they could get, a phone and they could converse with someone via FaceTime or Skype or one of those Zoom or whatever is available, that might work. that?
One of the options that we're exploring as far as for telemental health, they do have an app that you can download to a tablet or to a cell phone. So if you don't have access to a laptop or to internet in that way, you can do it from your phone through that app.
Awesome.
I think our strategy really is to get our individual counseling folks back up and running, and then at the same time kind of figure out what do we do with our groups. Group was supposed to start back up on Monday.
Not anymore.
And not anymore. And so, you know, we brainstormed some ideas, like could we identify art activities, and then what are the things that make that up, and then maybe that's an opportunity for people to donate, right? Donate art supplies, and then we mail them out. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of that depends on how long we're in this this pickle. And,
well, same thing could be with musical instruments. If somebody wants to donate, they can donate instruments to people. You can have those. So I mean, there are all types of possibilities. I'm sure you guys will figure it out.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been very resourceful, and I just really appreciate the time you've taken and the information you've shared, because people are better off because of you guys being here today. So that's what the whole purpose was. So thanks so much for your time. Once again, do you have an annual fundraiser?
We do. We'll do. Well, we're part of the Big Give, right?
Everyone
and the Big Give, I don't know if you've heard, has changed. So they're Big Give Emergency right now. So you can find us on that on Big Give.
Okay.
We'll raise money again at the end of the year.
Okay.
And then we have thankfully our gala at the end of February.
Awesome.
So we got our gala. You know, a lot of nonprofits have had to move things around, and that can be really devastating to a nonprofit's bottom line.
Moving Fiesta kills a lot of people.
Yeah. So I mean, I think right now, if the public wanted to support the Bereavement Center, I would say go to our website and make a donation there. Find us on the Big Give.
Awesome.
We're incredibly good stewards of our donors' money, and right now we're just trying to get our counselors up and running and back with the people who need them the most.
Well, once again, Christina, Cecilia, thank you for everything that you guys do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the Child Bereavement Center of San Antonio, for everything that you guys do, all the services you guys provide. Thanks so much for sharing and taking time out today to help people get over this new normal. It'll be very much appreciated by everybody that watches it. So God bless. If there's anything we can do for you in the future, please let me know. You're now a supporter. We are now a supporter of you guys. You guys are friends of San Antonio Community Radio.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Be safe.
Thank you.
We just had Celia and Christina from the Child Bereavement Center in San Antonio. And hopefully you found something today that will help you make it through. Right now, I got to pay